Don't let me stray. Please guide my way onto the path of my deen. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah, I'm calling your name. Oh, Allah.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, dear viewers, to another episode of Let's Talk on your favorite station, Huda TV. I'm your host, Yusuf Kroma, and today we'll be talking about the very crucial topic of maintaining trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We as human beings are naturally created in a weak position. We need oftentimes a higher power to assist us and to aid us in our daily endeavors. So if you don't have a trust or a belief in a higher power, sometimes you'll find yourself at odds with the difficulties that life brings our way. So today we're going to be talking about how to maintain trust in God. But before we get into this topic, I want to introduce our noble guest. All the way from Philadelphia, we have our teacher, Brother Hamid Sharif. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah. How are you, Brother Hamid?
Alhamdulillah, I'm doing good.
MashaAllah. So could you please tell us a bit about yourself?
I'm from the city of Philadelphia, and I've been living in Muslim countries for a few years, studying Quran, Arabic, and other Islamic sciences. And right now, my plan is to further studies at the Azhar University, inshallah.
Inshallah ta'ala. It's always a pleasure to have you, Brother Hamid. Always bring your insight and enlightenment to us.
Pleasure is ours.
And alhamdulillah, we have a first on the show today, alhamdulillah. We have another of our teachers, Brother Shafi'i, all the way from Tanzania, mashallah, Azhari as well. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah. How are you, brother?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. I'm happy to be here today.
Mashallah. Please tell us a bit about yourself, Brother Shafi.
Well, as you heard, I'm from East Africa, Tanzania, and I'm here in Egypt. Came to study in Azhar Sharif, Arabic language, general Arabic language.
Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Now we have our guest all the way from Skandaria, Brother Yasser, mashallah, by way of Maghrib, by way of so many countries, mashallah, a real traveling renaissance man, Brother Yasser. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for hosting me today. It's been a pleasure, Of course, coming from Alexandria and Morocco, it's making me, I don't know. I don't know which way to go.
Just maintain your trust in Allah. He'll tell you which way to go. Inshallah. Last but most certainly not least, we have our resident scholar here, Brother Ismail. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
MashaAllah. By way of Senegal as well, right, Brother Senegal?
Sierra Leone.
Sierra Leone. MashaAllah. I always want to send people to Senegal. So please tell us a bit about yourself, brother.
Well, actually, I'm from Sierra Leone. I'm also a student at Al-Azhar University. I did my master's in Islamic studies. I've been here for some years, also working for Huda TV.
Alhamdulillah, jack of all trades, as we say.
Yeah.
Alhamdulillah. So we want to get directly into the topic. How do we qualify the term tawakkul, or maintaining trust in Allah? When we say this, what do we mean by this? What is our understanding of maintaining trust in Allah?
When we say tawakkul, the way I would phrase it is, that complete reliance and trust upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it comes through way of, verbally, and it's also a mental thing, and it's physical, it's apparent in your actions. So it's not sufficient for a person to utter the words of tawakkul, but in reality, he doesn't really feel tawakkul in his heart or in his mind. And it's also not sufficient for a person to utter those words, but it's not apparent on his actions. Because a person who trusts in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's evident. He walks with confidence, and all his action, that he trusts in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it's complete reliance and trust upon Allah, and it's existent in your mind, your heart, and your actions.
Inshallah. Brother Shafi.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. First of all, when we talk about tawakkul, for me, the way I understand this word, as we know, is Arabic word, and the real meaning tawakkul, I will explain there's a long explanation of tawakkul, but I will cut and then I will say in a little, according to the time. And when we talk about tawakkul, to be honest with yourself and with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what you do every day, what you do every time, what you do in every moment you live in this life. To be honest with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and with yourself too. This is tawakkul for everything you do in this world. You depend on Allah completely. You depend on Allah. And with no hesitation, you depend on Allah, full depend on Allah.
On Allah. Okay, so we have a component of honesty as well as full dependency.
Exactly.
So it's better, it's sort of corroborating what Brother Hamid was saying, which is that
Exactly.
don't just say you believe in Allah, but really be honest with yourself in giving yourself fully to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in full dependency. Inshallah.
That's all to it.
Okay. Brother Yasser?
But just like the brother said, it's all about tawakkul is all about reliance and dependence to Allah. I like to take this example, just like a little kid, little child that is just born. He's depending on his mother. He can't survive without a mother. Same as a wife, she can't survive without a husband most of the time. Like not nowadays, but this is the way it should be. Like people depend on one another. I mean, imagine if you have to depend on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that is total reliance and submit, and to totally submit to Allah and accept His destiny. That's that's part of tawakkul as well. Accept all faith, whether it was bad or good. Anything that happens to you, you should always accept it. So that is, I think, an important part of reliance and dependence to Allah. So yeah.
Okay, Brother Ismail?
Well, actually, just like what brothers have said, in Islam we believe that whatever comes to us is from God. So there is a big problem with other people, who do not understand the meaning of tawakkul. Tawakkul means it's like when you talk about total, submission to the will of God. So you have to, accept whatever happens to you that it comes from God. You cannot say when something good happens to you is from God, but when the bad things happen to you, you start to look around, pointing fingers at other people, saying that it's this. I've been troubled because of this person. No. Tawakkul means a total belief in the dependence on God. You have to depend on whatever that comes from God, His power, His the message. You depend on God. Whether it is about earning, or whether about something that happens to you, whether it's an accident, or maybe someone's child dies. They start to accuse other people, or maybe you have a problem. You start to think about other people. We should understand this word, that whatever happens to you, it comes from God. Ayub alayhi salatu wasalam, when God tested him for quite a long period of time, he was sick. He didn't associate God with any other thing. He depended on Allah. He trusted Allah. He requested from Him, for His mercy. So that's why for us Muslims, we believe that whatever happens to us, even if the things that are happening to us are being perpetrated by other people, we believe that has been already decided by God. So we have to accept, and then we find ways to solve the problem. Okay? So that's actually what I understand from the word tawakkul.
Okay, alhamdulillah. And some of the ulama even mention like another level of tawakkul is not only accepting the situation Allah Ta'ala puts you in, but also being pleased with it. And another level is anticipating it. I heard the Salaf that if they were if they had a period of time in their life when things were just too easy and things were going too good, they would become afraid, like, what's going on? Allah Ta'ala is not testing me, So when things came, it's okay, alhamdulillah. We're ready for this. So anticipating the test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and putting your faith in Him that He will get you through. So that would bring us to our second question, which is, what is the significance, what is the purpose of having tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Individuals would say that, we're here in this world, we only can see the tangible, the present, As Allah Ta'ala said in the Quran, that people, they love the ajila, they love that which is present, that which is now. So what can having faith in Allah do for me when, I'm not saying this, but people say, you know, when I'm here in this life and I feel alone and I feel isolated and polarized and so many bad things happen, what is the purpose of me having tawakkul and a being that I can't see, or things like this?
Well, the significance in that is having like a guarantee of no disappointment, a guarantee from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because a guarantee from humans is something that it still could be, you know, it wouldn't be complete. But you have a 100% guarantee of no disappointment from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As He stated in the Quran, وَمَن يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. Whoever depends on Allah, Allah is sufficient for him. And if you depend on Allah, and you know, what more do you need after that? And you also make yourself entitled to the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Throughout the Quran, Allah always says, Inna Allah yuhibbul mutawakkilin. He loves those who depend on Him. So for me, just those 2 points right there is sufficient in itself, that I know that if I depend on Allah wholly, in the end, it may take some time, but whatever decision is best for me, Allah is going to bring that in my life, and I won't be disappointed with it. And also, I'll have the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We all want to be loved by, you know, our beloved, our mothers, our fathers, brothers, sisters, wife. But what about the one who created you? He's more rightful to our love, or want to be loved by us. Yeah, I mean, that's what I could say on that.
Brother Shafi.
Well, for me, I think most of people, we are missing the point when we talk about tawakkul or tawakkal. On the other way, another way to say, well, the point is, you know, we understand that there's no positivity with no negativity. You know, when we take the word tawakkul, there's the other word opposite, tawakkul, which means the opposite of tawakkul, real tawakkul. So I think when you depend on Allah, not only the other examples we used to take, like, you know, you study, you work, tawakkul. Also, people missing a point, even the way you think. Before you want to decide something to do, you think, even the way you think, the way you believe, you need tawakkul, even the way you think. So if you take tawakkul, you go deep inside of tawakkul, not only the thing we do, also the thing the way we think, the way we accept things, that's significant, like this.
Okay. Brother Yasser?
Well, the difference between tawakkul and tawakkul is a man, you know, going after a job, going every day out, you know, looking for a job constantly. He never gets tired. But the other one, he stays at home and he hopes, you know, that sky would rain some money. But it would never happen. So you shouldn't be have that type of dependence, because it'll. Don't go that road and then be like, what did I do wrong? You have to put some effort in it. You have to work for it. That's one thing. The benefits that you can get in trusting Allah is, first of all, is patience. I think patience is one of the most virtues that you learn in a tribulation, or you know, in a problem, whatever type of problem that you have. So first of all, be patient, and then you will. That's when will you go back to your religion, because وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. So whoever is righteous, Allah will show him a road or a light. So of course, there's a lot of benefits in trusting Allah. One more point is, you'll never feel bad that you took a wrong decision, or, you know, because it's all you know, destined. Sorry, you never did anything wrong. So that's pretty much it.
Okay, Brother Ismail.
Yes, like, you know, the brothers have said some things that are so much important. For us Muslims, we believe that we have two ways of reward, whether you get the reward here in this world or in the hereafter. And of course, the majority of people Those who believe, they believe that if I do something here that is good, if I don't get the reward here, I'm not a failure. Because there is a place that I will need that more than this world. So when you trust Allah, you fear Allah, you do what Allah actually wants you to do, you have the inner peace. Even if people see you that you are low, but you yourself, you know the connection you have between you and God. Because you know that you fear God, you depend on God, you don't depend on people. So that alone will give you the spirit of courage. So when you know that even if you die today, you are going to meet your Lord. Your slate is clean, and there will be no problem for you. So, trusting in Allah is very important for every Muslim, because even the Holy Prophet ﷺ, when he was sent, imagine in the Arabian Peninsula, where the people, everybody was a pagan. In that particular society, people were trying to kill him, they wanted to poison him, but because he relied on Allah, his uncle was trying to, Abu Talib was trying to, protect him, but that protection was not going to be enough. But because the prophets, take all his responsibility, everything about him, he trusts Allah. He said, Allah will protect me. Until the end, he succeeded. He conquered, the empire of pagan in the Arabian Peninsula. He became the winner. Even today, there are Western scholars who believe that there is no man on earth that has more credibility than Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Why he was able to conquer the Arabian Peninsula? Because he took tawakkul on Allah. He relied on Allah. He depended on Allah until God brought him the victory. So for us as Muslims, whatever you do, if you don't rely on God, you don't depend on God, definitely you're going to fail. And when you fail because you don't trust in Allah, definitely you are going to fail also in Yawm al-Qiyamah. Of course, I may have a connection with Brother Kuma, in this life. I don't know what is going to happen. But the relationship between me and you, if we are doing business, I rely on God. I believe that whatever is going to be the result is what God has decided. That's enough for me. Succeed with the business that I'm doing with you, I praise God. If I don't succeed, still I have the hope that because God says, وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلَ اللَّهِ, if you believe in God, you trust Him, He is sufficient for you. So I believe that for us Muslims, we should always take the advantage of relying on God, believing in God, and knowing that whatever we do, whether we succeed, as long as we do this in the fairness of Allah, whether we succeed in this life or we don't succeed in this life, we have somewhere that we will need that may reward more than this life.
Yes, subhanAllah, you're making me think about the grandfather of our Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, who also had a trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well, and the situation when they built a fire for him, right? And you can think of nothing, what is more devastating than the entire community getting together and putting a fire together to put you inside, right? Can you imagine how psychologically traumatizing that is if you're only dependent on yourself, because you know what fire is, you know what it's going to do, you know what the situation is. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one that can get you out of this situation. And look what Allah ta'ala did for Ibrahim. He made the fire cool for him, would change the nature of a very element. If you put your faith in him, miraculous things happen. So we see from the history, even the prophets and messengers, when the people that had the most faith in Allah, Allah ta'ala will give them miracles. So in our same way, when you truly put your faith in Allah ta'ala, Allah ta'ala will give us amazing things, will open up amazing things in our lives that we wouldn't otherwise even believe. Such as He would change fire and make it cool for us. You know, how many times, like, figuratively speaking, when people plot against us and want to put us in a figurative fire, but we depend on other people, complain to other people. Oh, look what such and such did to me. Look what they when they're plotting against me, right? But Allah Ta'ala, He's able to make that fire cool for you. So if you put your faith in Him, He can make everything, cool.
Just to comment on like the Prophet Ibrahim situation in the fire, what's so interesting about that is that Allah actually sent an angel to him when he was in the fire to it was maybe a form of a test too. It was the angel of the rain, and he said that, oh Ibrahim, I can make this situation easy. If I could send down a rain so the fire won't harm me, he said, no, hasbi Allah wa ni'mal wakeel. Allah is sufficient for me. He's the best disposer of affairs. And it was at that point Allah told the fire, be cool onto Ibrahim. And then he also said, Kuni bardan wa salaman ala Ibrahim. Be you cool and a place of peace for Ibrahim. If you would have just, Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala said that if Allah would have just told the fire to be cool on Ibrahim, the coolness would have soon became overwhelming and harm Ibrahim. But he said, be cool and a place of peace and serenity for Ibrahim.
Some of the ulama said that when Ibrahim was removed from the fire, when they asked him, how was it? He said it was the best time I ever had in my life. I never had a better experience in my life. I wish I could go back and just, be cool. Subhanallah, that's the faith and that's the tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Just like Abraha when he tried to invade to burn to destroy the Kaaba. So Abdul Muttalib, he said, no, don't worry. I mean, this house of God, it has a God of it. I mean, it belongs to Allah. He will never forsake it. So just trust in it.
Yeah.
SubhanAllah, and that's it.
So how do we get to this level, man? How do we begin to to sort of develop the sort of characteristics within ourselves that we can, inshallah ta'ala, get to the point of the fire being cool for us, that kind of iman? How do we begin to develop that sort of trait?
I would say it's by acquaintance with the person you're seeking that trait from. Acquaintance with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you understand who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is and his capabilities, and he's capable of doing any and everything, that level naturally as a human being, that level of tawakkul and reliance should increase. Like you understand that these examples, you read examples of what Allah did for Prophet Ibrahim and what he did with Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When you read these examples and you read about the abilities of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it becomes part of you. So we have to be acquainted with these things. A lot of times people, they're so distant from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and detached from, that superpower. And that's the reason why they don't have any tawakkul. And another way I would like to answer is by saying, like the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said that إِنَّمَا الْحِلْمُ بِالتَّحَلُّمْ وَالصَّبْرُ بِاللَّهِ. You have to in order to be patient, you have to practice patience. In order to have endurance, you have to practice endurance. So at times in situations where it requires you to have tawakkul, you have to actually do it. Something that you learn and,
Yeah. Okay.
For me, on top of that, in order to increase this tawakkul, I think we already have a Quran. We always need to have a Quran beside us, because Quran is the end of the story. You cannot find anything, because we have so many examples we already have. We read, but when we recite Quran, this is the way, one way to increase our tawakkul and to reach that level. Because the more you recite Quran, you get knowledge, you get to understand things, and I think Quran, to recite Quran, is the big way to increase our tawakkul in Allah.
Okay, got the answer?
Well, you have to, in order to reach that level of tawakkul of Ibrahim alayhi salam, you have to believe in Allah completely, trust in his powers, ability, that he can do, anything is possible for Allah. There's nothing impossible for him. It's just impossible for you. And if Allah didn't help you, it's because of your sins. It's because you committed too many sins that Allah, he would just trial you, he just want to tell you, I want you to come back to me. Why are you lost? Come back to me, that's all, So even if you had a tribulation and you couldn't get out of it, you have to know it's for your benefit, for your own benefit. So just try to be patient and believe in Allah, that He, that no matter what, Allah will always, when Prophet ﷺ, he was in Gharu Hira, he trusted in Allah, and the mushrikeen were after him, they were going to kill him. So, and he had total reliance and dependence upon Allah. Even Abu Bakr Siddiq, he used to ask him, and Prophet ﷺ, La taqlaq, don't worry, Allah is with us, So even if the whole nation unified to, you know, conspiracy, they committed a conspiracy to, you know, to trap you in any trap, whatever. Allah is Allahu Akbar. Allah is a lot bigger and stronger than them. So that's pretty much it. And you know, don't expect to pray for a dead man, you know, to help you. He'll never do that. I mean, don't go pray for Ali or Fatima or whatever, you know, or Jesus or, you know, anyone. I mean, they're dead. They can't help themselves. How can they help you? So get it straight first and then go after it, and Allah will never disappoint you, inshallah.
Inshallah ta'ala. Dear viewers, we're going to pause for a short break, and we'll come back to further this essential discussion on maintaining trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm your host, Yusuf Krama. Stay tuned. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
How perfect my Allah is, and I praise Him. Subhanallahi wa bihamdihi, subhanallah. How perfect you are, Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala.
This is Walid Bassuri, the Vice President of Al Maghrib Institute and a member of the Fatwa Committee and a simply jurist in North America. Believe it or not, there is no universal definition for the word terrorism. In United Nations, there's a lot of debates, no agreement on how to define terrorism. They have no mercy. They have no feelings. Killing kids, killing an 80-year-old priest in the church. Even the soldier, the enemy that you fight in a legit fight, if he is in a state of safety and security, not expected to be harmed, you're not allowed to harm him. But even other historians and other theologians said, no, Al-Khawarij started even in the Prophet ﷺ time. Hijacking airplanes, destroying urban areas and buildings, public properties, targeting civilians, and all these kind of things that the terrorist group do today. And he said it's absolutely forbidden in Islam.
Dear viewers, as the title suggests, our discussion on this series is talking about ideas or isms and schisms, or let's be more precise, ideologies.
The importance of studying ideologies comes from the fact that ideologies are ideas that control how society looks at the world.
France is a liberal secular state, and these women who are wearing the burkini are showing their religion outwardly.
Islam has established a scientific community. It has not stifled science. It has nothing to do with science. The major name that comes up with civil rights movement is Martin Luther King. But there was another unacknowledged contribution from Malcolm X, who defended black rights. When he converted to Islam, he started to disregard.
So when we look at slavery inside of Islam, we find many times that a person was a slave when he entered into Islam, but then later on he ended up becoming like a leader of an army or the leader of a particular country or a place. So does Islam allow for slaves to take positions of power?
Yeah, slaves have a greater chance of being integrated in society.
Joining us on this fantastic new series, The Pool of Ideas, where we're taking a number of ideologies from across the world, from throughout history, and we're trying to give them some comprehensive understanding as well as shedding some Islamic light on them as well.
If you're looking for a book to read that's going to give you what you need,
ورتل القرآن ترتيلا
ورتل القرآن ترتيلا.
Read and recite Quran as you should read it and recite it.
Join me, my dear viewers, for this beautiful program of Quran for Kids. In this program, we will get the chance to read some sections of the Quran and get a little bit of tafsir and interpretation of that section, and we will get the chance to ask questions and learn lessons. All of that in Quran for Kids. Please join me.
When you put it in your heart, I think you're gonna say, I love Quran. First you gotta read it, then you understand it, then you wanna say, I love Quran. When you understand it.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back, dear viewers, to another episode of Let's Talk on your favorite station, Huda TV. I'm your host, Yusuf Krama, and today we're talking about maintaining trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why is it important? How to develop these traits? And what are some examples, our next question, of times in our lives when we've exercised tawakkul on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and some examples as well from the Quran and Sunnah, inshallah ta'ala. We'll begin with Brother Hamid.
What was the question again?
What are some times that we exercised trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in our lives, and as well as examples from the Quran and Sunnah?
Okay. For me, you know, the whole path of seeking Islamic education in a foreign country requires a high level of tawakkul, you know, being away from your family, your friends, people you grew up with, in a foreign country, you know, where, you know, it's a different situation, different condition. Many things can happen, la samahallah, but, you know, for me, I had to exercise, you know, extreme tawakkul to be able to maintain, you know, sanity mentally and all these things, alhamdulillah, and I ask Allah to, you know, continue to aid me in that. And from the Quran, I think of the story of Yusuf, Prophet Yusuf and his father, when Yusuf was taken to the outskirts of the town by his brothers and thrown in a well, and then going back to their father and making up a lie, and then their father having to wait years and years to be reunited with his son. Like, Yusuf was still a young boy at that time. He didn't reach the age of puberty, so you're talking about maybe 10 to 15. And after reaching the age of puberty, living with the king and everything that happened with that, and then going to jail, meeting the two companions in jail, followed by him being raised to the level of majesty, being, you know, one of the acquaintances of the king. All that is happening over a period of like maybe 60 years, 50, 60 years. And I just tried to put myself in Prophet Yaqub's, you know, shoes, like, you know, that was his young son, and then all of a sudden y'all were separated, you know what I mean? And for years, you're talking about years, and there was times where, you know, he would cry, and his sons would come to him and they said, oh, our father, like, you're gonna like die because you're crying so much over Yusuf, like, we don't know where he is. Yes, we made a mistake, but, you know, what happened is over. And over that period of time, just witness the tawakkul that Prophet Yaqub still had. He said, إِنَّمَا أَشْكُ بَثِّي وَحُزْنِي إِلَى اللَّهِ, that I only complain to Allah. وَأَعْلَمُ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And I know something about Allah that you guys don't know, because he was a prophet. Those other sons weren't prophets. Prophet Yusuf, he was a prophet, but the other sons, so he said he had this, you know, understanding of Allah that they didn't have. So I know something about Allah that you guys do not know. And then he said, Ya bani idhabu fatahassasu an Yusuf, like, go search for Yusuf. I have a feeling he's there, he's out there, and he's in good state. Go search for Prophet Yusuf, and do not despair from the hope of Allah. The only people who despair, the only people who lose tawakkul in Allah are those people who disbelieve, those people who have low iman, low faith. And surely enough, you know, when they went to go search, they found Prophet Yusuf, and he was a king, and then he expressed to his brothers that what you did was wrong, and then they felt bad, and then he gave his brothers his shirt, and he said, go give this shirt to my father, put it on his face, he's gonna get his sight back, because he went blind from crying so much. And what's so astonishing is that before the transportation left its, you know, destination to go back to the father, Allah said, وَلَمَّا فَصَلَتِ الْعِيرُ قَالَ أَبُوهُمْ إِنِّي لَأَجِدُ رِيحَ يُوسُف. Like, the transportation, it didn't move yet. Once it was about to move and, embark, the dad was way in a different side of town. He said, I feel Yusuf coming. I feel his air. I can feel it. I can feel his vibe. And then when they reached his father, they put the shirt on his face, and then he became, he got his sight back. And he said, didn't I tell you that I know something of Allah that you didn't know? And nothing could have got Prophet Yaqub through those tribulations if it wasn't, tawakkul.
SubhanAllah.
Yeah.
MashaAllah, beautiful story. Brother Shafi.
Well, when you speak about tawakkul again, there's so many examples of tawakkul, from Quran and from Hadith, from Qisas. So many examples we can find, even in our life now, a lot of time, we find so many examples of tawakkul. For me, I remember, like I say, there are many examples we find. If you take Quran and then you read, you find those stories happen, back in the day when the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in Uhud. You find tawakkul was happening, real tawakkul, Sahaba with the Prophet. Even they were in trouble, they were in a hard time by that time, but they did not lose iman, faith. They were really, really, really practicing tawakkul, iman, because tawakkul is iman, it's a part of iman. You put Allah first. Before you put anything, you put Allah first. You put Allah in front of you before you do anything, before you think anything. So like I said, there's so many examples. If you talk about me, I think in my lifetime, I did tawakkul, alhamdulillah, and I'm asking Allah to increase my tawakkul. For me, being here too is part of my tawakkul. To be here in Egypt, to be here in this place here. I always love to be in a cool place like this and to talk about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam again said, if people they practice tawakkul like that, Allah will provide like this small animal, like goes from morning, to evening.
The bird.
The bird. Yeah. Without but people, they think always, tawakkul is like, they try. We don't have to try about tawakkul. We have to do, and because you put Allah in front, just be honest with yourself with Allah, everything is going to be fine.
Just to quickly comment on that hadith where the Prophet said that people were to depend on Allah the way the bird depends on Allah. It goes out with an empty stomach and then it comes back with a full stomach. This could be misunderstood. Some people may think, all I gotta do is have tawakkul and then I'll get money, or no.
Let me tell you what.
The scholar said that if the bird didn't go out, he wouldn't have came back with a full stomach. So you have to depend on Allah, and you have to take the necessary means to get whatever you want.
So it's like the saying, tiger camel, and then put your faith in Allah.
Yeah,
exactly.
Back to the point, you do tawakkul and you make some moves.
Yeah.
That hadith, of course, like what the brother mentioned, it's been used as an evidence of being dependent to God. It's the hadith, the bird, يغدو خماسا ويرجو بطانا. When the bird leaves in the morning, it goes, just flying. It goes round and round and round. It gets what it wants, and it comes home. The stomach is full. Yes, but for us also as human beings, we always have to try our best. When we do tawakkul, we always have to make some effort for our survival. With regards to the Holy Quran, we have a lot of stories there. The Surah Al-Kahf. We have a beautiful story there about the people who decided to leave their people because they disbelieved. They left them. They went on a journey, and they went to a cave. They even have a dog, and they stayed there for years. God took whether God took away their lives, but they were not dead like final death. And they stayed there for years, and they came back. They had to send, because the situations have changed. The people have changed, and they had to send one of their companion to go to check. They gave him some money to go to buy something for them. When he presented that money, nobody could understand the money. They had to look for an old person who recognized that, oh, this is a long, long, long time. We do not use this currency anymore. So those people stayed in that cave for all those years because they actually rely on God. So, when you want to develop tawakkul ala Allah, one, you always have to begin with God, whatever you want to do. You have your plans. For us human beings, we always propose, but God disposes. In the end, He's the one who decides. So even when we need something, we plan. In the end, if we do not succeed, we have to understand. Asa an tuhibbu shay'an فهو شر لكم وعسى أن تحبوا شيئا فهو يعني so عسى أن تحبوا شيئا فهو شر لكم. You may like something, but it's not good for you. وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا فهو خير لكم. You may hate something, but in the end, this that you hate is good for you. So for us human beings, we always have to, to develop that kind of love with God. And that kind of trust. Not everybody has a trust. Many people, it will begin good, even when it's, about worshiping God. The Sheikh was talking about, the subh, the fajr prayer that people join in the mosque. Most of us do not have that time, But the more you get closer to God, the higher your love for God, increase. And the more you depend on God, the more you feel the security of God, that, whatever you do, when you depend on God, you will always succeed. So even in the Quran also, we have the story of Yunus, who left all the way. He was going to preach his people, but there were so much difficulties. So he decided to leave them. He jumped out of the boat, and he was swallowed by a big fish. All the way he was brought back to the place that he wanted to avoid. So all of these stories, some people who do not read the Quran will not understand these stories. So what they should do is to take time, at least some minutes, maybe on Friday, try to go listen to khutbah. Of course, Islam, we know that is the best religion. Imagine every Friday you have free lecture. Free lecture. Some people take classes only one time a week, even here in Cairo, any part of the world. You pay in the end, every month you have to pay a lot of money. Friday is sometimes 25 or 30 minutes. Khutbah, they give it free to you. So after death, you won't complain that, the message did not come to me. Every Friday you are given the message, you are told what to do. So people, will gain a lot if actually for those who cannot read the Quran. Because for you and I, we read the Quran, so we understand the stories of all these things that have happened. So when something happens to me, I know that I will get away. Because whoever believes in God, whoever depends on God, يَجْعَلُ اللَّهُ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. God will always give you a way out. Whether it's difficulty, whether it's something that is, you may face, you may think that this is going to, get rid of my life. But if you only depend on God, you will succeed. So I believe for us who can read the Quran, we find these stories. When something happens to you, just, Ibrahim alayhi salatu wasalam was sent inside the fire, and later he succeeded. Yunus jumped into the sea, and later he was saved. And the people of the cave, and even in Surah Buruj, you have a case there of a child who actually, who was, very much challenging to someone who didn't believe. They were killed because they had Iman. When we come to the recent time, the beginning of the Islam, the Holy Prophet ﷺ, this Bilal, who was punished just to, because he told his master that I believe in the message of Muhammad ﷺ. A rock was laid on his chest, and he was saying, Al-Ahad, Al-Ahad. I won't believe in any God except Allah alone.
Okay. Yeah.
So that gives you, the kind of courage that you need to always believe that God is there, and if you trust in God, you will succeed.
Yeah. Go there, sir.
Prophet Musa alayhi salam, when he was just born, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told his family to throw him in the sea, subhanallah, to the Nile River. I mean, imagine it's so hard. Imagine if you were a mother and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tested you, told you to throw your son so he would flow with the water. I mean, you have no idea where your child would be going, you understand? I mean, it's so tough. So, and she reached that level of reliance, and it was a test for her, and she succeeded, alhamdulillah. And look at where tawakkul has gotten her son. He was taken to the house of his enemy, subhanallah. And see, that's reliance. Numerous miracles, even at the end of times, when Dajjal, whenever he comes, he'll have this man sawed, in half. And he'd tell him, and the guy who's being tortured, he will still have faith in Allah, and he will tell him, you were the Dajjal that the Prophet ﷺ warned us about. So trust in Allah, it has to be in his monotheism, complete tawheed, complete sovereignty, complete submittance, complete, you understand me? There should not be any single mistake with reliance. It has to be 100% right. Don't ever depend on a human who's dead, because that's part of shirk. Your reliance have to be solely just for Allah. At all costs in every situation. So it is a hard test for many nations. I mean, many Muslims even nowadays they fail at this one soul test because they think this sheikh he's so blessed that he can cure me, or bless me with some money. He can't do that. Only Allah can do that. So don't turn to anyone. Go back to sujood and pray for Allah for whatever wish that you may wish for. And He is guaranteed because وَمَنْ يَتَوَكَّلْ عَلَى اللَّهِ فَهُوَ حَسْبُهُ. He's sufficient. You don't need anyone else. And if you did, you'd be doing something seriously wrong. You have to be careful about it. Of course, it's dangerous.
And subhanAllah, that really shows the premise of tawakkul, which is the opposite of shirk. If you don't believe solely in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you are searching for something else to fill in the gap, you will start to go into creation. Like one of the scholars said, don't worship why not worship the creator as opposed to the things created? So we as weak aslan, like naturally human beings as a weak creation, we need something outside of us to help us, right? Naturally so. So if that thing isn't Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you will start to fill it with other people, and that's open shirk. You start to look for people to help you with that, and people will always let you down. That's the nature of people, because people can't help themselves. So you will always be disappointed. But when you give yourself solely, I'm thinking about the mother of Musa alayhi salam. What's a greater aspect of tawakkul than to throw a baby in a river? Like in a river, you don't know what's going to happen. And Allah Ta'ala brought him in the house of the enemy, the very person that wanted to kill him, and the most honorable and the most peaceful and the most safe place he could possibly be. Allah Ta'ala put him in that position to show the strength of putting your faith in Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. And as the brother said, you can tell that the Muslims now aren't putting their faith in Allah. The implications are the situations that we're in right now. You'll know when you put your faith in Allah how He moves in your life. The things that He places in your life will be an indication of your faith in Him. But when you don't have faith, like the brother said, a superpower, described Allah as a superpower. But in many minds, a superpower is America, is these different countries. That's a superpower. But no, Allah Ta'ala is the superpower. So things are happening, political climates in the world, and people are like, oh my God, this is going to happen. What's going to happen to us? This person is going to do this. But who's in control of everything? Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. So whether this person is there, this person is not there, Allah Ta'ala is always there. And whatever situation He puts us in, we're ready and willing to accept that, because Hasbi Allah وَنِعْمَ وَكِيلٌ.
It just reminded me about the tawakkul of Ibrahim with Ismail.
Yeah. Subhanallah.
You know, only one son at that age, you know, at that age, and he saw in his dreams that he slaughtered Ibrahim,
his son
Ismail. And of course, look at what comes from it today. Every one of us, you know, you want to go for Hajj, you want to slaughter an animal. You know, some of these extreme things that we think that are impossible. If I lose this job, for example, I won't get another one. God will always raise you from that point, and then you will become a prominent person.
There's another point I just want to remind people. I just want to remind people that whenever you depend on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we always think about the answers. You know, we want to get the answer right now. I want to put something here, and then Allah will provide you. Okay, we tawakkul. But sometimes, even when you don't see what's going to happen, when you don't get the answers, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we should do tawakkul. Even when you don't get the result of tawakkul,
that we expect.
There is a result of tawakkul. If you remember this Sahabi al-Jalil, his name is Abdullah, I forget the second name, he was about to be punished. Because why? Because he believes in Allah, and those people, they don't believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so they want to punish him. And then they show them example. They put other people in the fire. They set other people in the fire, and those people, they died. And then they asked him, what about you now? He said, no, I'm sticking my iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The first, second, third, now the king say, okay, now we set you in the fire. He started crying. And then the king asked, why are you crying now? You scared? Subhanallah. What he said is, I'm not scared. I'm crying because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me one soul. I wish I could have more than this, so you could set me on fire more times. So we should tawakkul on Allah. Even if we don't get the answers, we should tawakkul on Allah. There's always the answers.
Very good, inshallah. Dear viewers, it's that time of the day again where we have to end the show. It's always a sad ending, but I want to thank my guest, alhamdulillah, for the wonderful insight and enlightenment that was shared today. We hope that it's a benefit to you, as it has been a benefit to us. As always, we leave you with the greetings of Jannah, which is Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm your host, Yusuf Krama. Until next time, see you on Let's Talk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
How perfect my Allah is, and I praise Him. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. Subhanallah. How perfect you are. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi. Subhanallah. How perfect you are. Allah. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah, I'm calling your name. Allah, I call you, I need you. Allahu Akbar. Allah, your mercy is great.